Hello, welcome back. It is Jack Mack High Top Sports coming at you with a reaction to the action of last weekend and going over the chaos, whatever the hell the committee is doing on Tuesday. Coming at you on a Wednesday night. I'm going to get into some scenarios for the last couple weeks. JT will talk to us about where we're at with Tennessee. And yeah, just kind of wrap things up as we close out SEC play over the last couple weeks. But first, go to business here with what happened between the Hedges. Dogs win 34-17.
31-17.
JT, I texted you at halftime. 34-17, right? 31-17.
31, yeah.
I texted you at halftime. I thought we were about to be in for a 41-44 type of game. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts? I guess not initial. We're a few days removed.
Yeah, I've had some time to kind of think about it. I think what we saw, I felt like Tennessee started really well. Thought we came out of the gates pretty quick, running the ball well, playing our style of football. And, I think it just came down to what's kind of hindered us, in the games that we've looked at is the ability to ball down the field. Don't really think we made much of an attempt to throw it down the field. I kind of can count one time maybe, and it was the ball kind of later in the game, and Nico overthrew. Maybe it was Deontay Thornton or one of those guys. But there's just this thing with Nico he just plays timid at times, and I think he doesn't try to take those shots and let a guy go make a play. And I think that's just the freshman coming out of him. I don't think the defense played as well as they have been playing. Thought that gave up a lot of big plays. I thought Beck played pretty well for the most part. I think he gave his guys a chance to make plays, and that was a big, and didn't put the ball in harm's way very much. Disagreed with one of the calls. Oscar Delp definitely fumbled that ball. There's no doubt about that. I didn't think that was an incomplete pass. I saw a tuck and 2 feet go down, and then but maybe it was more bang bang when you watch it in real time.
I think a lot of that was it was 2 feet, but it was bringing it in when he lost it. I don't know. I mean, it was a bang bang play.
Yeah, I think that's why when you see it in slow motion, it definitely looks like a fumble. But at that time, if you watch it in real time, it probably is more of a bang bang play look. And so I thought there were a couple more questionable calls. The face mask was BS. I'm pretty sure that led to a touchdown. And that was a third down, if I'm not mistaken. And then the 12 men also was pretty questionable, which I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple.
They usually let you get off the field. You can take your time, your sweet time. I've never seen them do anything like that before, where they'll let a team run a play. Hell, I've seen times when they've given the offense a delay a game because the defense can't get a guy off the field. So I thought that was a little question.
Of course, this show is brought to you by BetUS. And when you use the code YouTube150 at BetUS.com on your first deposit, you get back 150%, up to $2,000. Now, you can gamble on NFL, college football, basketball, baseball. The World Series are coming up. We got college football at an all-time high. Heisman winners are going back and forth. Who's going to win the SEC? Who's going to win the Big 12? All kinds of things. You can literally gamble on anything you set your pretty little mind to. And on your second and third deposit, you get back 125%, up to $2,000. So be sure to go check out BetUS.com. Use the code YouTube150 to take advantage of these offers while they still last. Now back to the show.
As well.
I've seen that as well. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple questionable calls. I agree with you there, but I mean, the biggest point for me is, Tennessee they didn't come close to really scoring in the second half. So that's really where the game was won to me. Second half, kind of, Nico surprised me in the first half with how good he played. I thought it looked like the environment didn't bother him at all. That's why I was texting you about maybe we're looking at a shootout, 41-44, something like that. I was really thinking that could happen, but our defense made some adjustments in the second half for sure. Being able to get to the quarterback, and you're right, the defensive line for Tennessee was not able to get home like Ole Miss was. I think that's the main reason why Carson was so successful, is he had time. I think a lot of it has to do with playing at home, playing on the road in Oxford in a raucous environment. typically the defensive line, for the home team is going to get off better, get to the quarterback better. They got a lot more adrenaline going. So I expected Georgia's offensive line to play better, to not allow one sack. I didn't expect that. I mean, the changes that they had were pretty, made an impact, but Carson played great. He did put it into harm's way. Number 3, that one I called him in my solo reaction, the Lad McConkey replacement. There was one that if he would have got his head around, he probably would have picked it off. You know what I'm talking about? Where
Yeah, I do.
just right on him. I mean, he was perfect coverage, but just didn't get his head around in time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game ultimately. And Dylan Sampson, what did he get? Just over? He's got 100 yards every game this year.
I believe so. Yeah.
101. I saw that box score. But yeah, chaos has ensued. Everyone's beating each other. Tennessee beat Alabama. We lost to Ole Miss and Alabama, beat Tennessee. So it's a Russian roulette now. I mean, it's up to the committee, and Kirby's obviously not happy about it at all. So he made some comments, and I was listening to Joel Klatt. He's like, maybe the committee is getting back at Kirby just for his comments post-game. I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I think they're just stupid, and they literally just look at the records.
He's an SEC hater anyways, so it's like I agreed with everything he said, at post-game of that game, talking about are they even looking at schedules? Like, what are they really looking at when they look at these schedules and say, oh, it's based on strength of schedule or record? Or I get it. Like, yeah, you got undefeated teams, but I think, Alabama being in front of Georgia and Tennessee, it's, I know it's hard with all these teams beating each other, and, you can, again, look at strength of schedule, but if we're going off strength of schedule, who the hell is it Indiana played? Between Indiana, Ohio State, and what is it? Penn State, that Michigan win is somehow getting a lot of respect. I don't really get that part.
I feel like it's weird because it was a closer game. I feel like they're giving them more respect because they were, you know what I mean? Like I feel like there's more respect given because Michigan kind of played up to them. And to me, that's their first sign that they cannot play with the big boys in the trenches, is because of how close that game was. So yeah, the Indiana love, them having a 95% chance to make the playoff, even if they lose, is crazy. But I mean, all these SEC teams, I don't know how they're going to really put one against the other. I mean, all the 2 lost teams, especially if Texas wins out and wins the SEC championship, then literally all of them are in the same. Then you just have to, in my opinion, you have to go straight to the record. I mean, schedule.
Yeah.
After that.
I agree.
But
I think the Indiana situation is very similar to, like, I think a couple weeks ago I gave my upset. It was Kansas over BYU, and Kansas went in there and pretty much exposed BYU for the frauds that they are. Like, they were undefeated too. Everybody's riding high on them, and then 3-6 Kansas walks in there and handle business for the most part. So we'll see if Ohio State exposes Indiana. I think it's going to be a interesting situation there. And then obviously you got Army and Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame, they're getting a lot of love now too, and that's a team that lost to Northern Illinois. So, Miami losing to Georgia Tech, I think I understand you got to have 12 teams in there, but let's have the 12 best teams in there,
Miami's egregious. The one thing that I give Notre Dame that sets them apart from, Indiana and Miami, they had to win. They had one SEC game on the road at Texas A&M. I mean, that's a tough win.
Yeah.
I give them respect there, but other than that, I mean, it's a joke of a schedule. Plus, they don't have to play a conference title game. So, I mean, it absolutely is a system set up Charlotte, Middle Tennessee State. It's like, why wouldn't you do that? If you just go undefeated and you're going to be in it, like if they're just looking at records, then why is Army not in? I mean, if Indiana, if Indiana is undefeated, they're number 5. Army's undefeated. They've looked pretty good. They've blown out just about everybody, haven't they? why are they not up there? So like there's the bias right there. So I don't understand how they differentiate one team from the next, but they both have bad schedules. Army's schedule, look, if you look at those schedules, they're not that different. I mean, I know now Indiana's schedule is tougher having to play Ohio State, but up to this point, they haven't done anything.
Well, it's the same thing with Notre Dame. How are you supposed to be this storied, program and your schedule in Navy, Army? Like, what are you doing playing these teams? I'm not trying to take anything away from Navy and Army. Both of them have had great years. But Notre Dame is supposed to be on another level than both of them. And, like, they're supposed to be playing with the big boys. And their hardest game this year is, I guess, going to be Texas A&M. And then they got, USC at the end of the year, who we see what USC is. Stinking Riley down there stinking it up. So
Well, one thing with Notre Dame is their schedule, like they had a good schedule, but Florida State, who expected them to be 1-11?
Yeah.
So sometimes it is like unluck of the draw because they have some big names, but Indiana, dude, you cannot tell me they tried to schedule a good schedule. I mean, like Notre Dame, you can tell that they tried. I'm not saying you should benefit them. Like they should be penalized for not having a good schedule, but it's different than Indiana where they're out of conferences, FCS schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's definitely been a down year for the Big Ten too, I would have to say. Like once you get past Oregon, who they didn't play anybody either. So, I mean, other than Ohio State, I mean, they haven't really played anybody. And then, I mean, if you look at it, it goes Oregon, Ohio State. I feel like Penn State's in this middle ground where you're not really sure how good they actually are, but like you think they're better than Indiana, and then it drops off pretty steeply after that. Like I can't really think of another team in the Big Ten outside of those four that's worth a crap. So I guess you're going in thinking Michigan's going to be good, and usually you have a Michigan State in there who's formidable for the most part, but other than that, pretty much the majority of the Big Ten's been pretty bad.
And they have 4 out of the first 5 spots. And to me, you probably agree. You can put 7, 8, or 8, 9, 10, 11, match them up with the first 5. I would put the bottom of that bracket against the top. I mean, I think these SEC teams, especially if it does work out similar to this, if they're close to each other in the bracket, I don't think, Ole Miss is going to be playing Georgia or anything like that. I think it's going to get exposed quickly.
No.
Right now it's got Georgia going to State Penn.
I'm sure there's some Penn State fans that are not wanting that to happen at all.
Oh, they know it's coming. they do a whiteout, the whole gamut. Drew Aller against that defense. Are you serious?
Yeah, James
Tennessee,
Franklin.
Even I think any of these SEC teams, Ole Miss, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, any of them go to State Penn. They're favored by, I think they're favored by 2 or 3. All of them. Do you agree?
I agree. Yeah.
2.5 probably is what they all are.
I think if you're handicapping that game, you just got to throw in the James Franklin factor of him having brown shit stains all over those white trousers he's going to be wearing.
I mean, they're really going to be done with him after this year, especially if Colorado goes in there, someone like that, and beats them. Because, dude, they're going to lose. They're going to lose first game. No matter who it is, they will lose that first game. I promise.
If it's Ohio State, it's a guaranteed loss.
I just don't see them playing good in a big game. I don't trust Drew Aller. He stinks. Their backup, I'm telling you, I talked about it after the Wisconsin game. That backup is their best player. The best chance to win is the backup.
As long as you stop, what's his name? Tight end.
Oh, well, I'll give him that. That guy's a unit.
You're good. You can get him to he's their whole team.
Terminator.
Yeah, he's good. Good player. He's just, wish he was somewhere else.
He needs to transfer. We need him in the portal. He's the next Bowers. He should have went to Georgia.
He's an SEC
what do you say?
Guy. He's an SEC guy.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I mean, if I had to rank this list, I mean, if you throw the schedules out, I would have Oregon in there, but Penn State would not. Penn State would be, I would put Penn State, Miami, Notre Dame, like 10, 11, 12, or, 9, 10, 11, BYU 12 on this list.
Yeah.
Boy,
I think
or-
Boise State's better than
that's what I'm saying. And I was
couple of
about to
those teams.
backtrack and say Boise State's probably not better, but they're right in there. They're right in there in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean, they
I
went
think,
toe to toe with Oregon.
yeah, that's what I think Boise State might be better than a couple of these teams we're talking about here.
I worry about their defense. Georgia
Boise-
Southern put up 40 something on them second week of the season. I mean,
That's fair.
their defense isn't great, but one thing I've liked about Boise State, I've watched a couple of their recent games. They've had a couple of nail biters, but they've gotten the passing game going a little bit recently. It's not all on
Genty.
Yeah. So that quarterback's not bad. But what about Colorado? I mean, they got the best quarterback in the country. Do you give them any shot to make any type of noise?
They're making a late push. What do they need to happen? They need to. Do they still
No,
play
they
BYU?
control their destiny.
They control their destiny.
Just got to win the Big 12.
They went out and I mean, I think the majority of the country would like that. I think that everybody would like to see that. I think if they do make it, they're gonna. I think the first game is gonna be a little rough when they play some big boys, but I don't think their defense is great. I think playing a Big 12 schedule is kind of giving them the benefit of the doubt here.
Pathetic schedule. Put them right in there with Indiana.
Yeah. So, I think it'd be great for views, but I don't think they would go very far. And it sounds like, if Daddy gets his way, he's going to be coaching Shedeur somewhere in the NFL. So this could be the last hoorah for the old Buffs.
He just said, I heard a press conference him today saying that he likes it. His bike's got a kickstand. He said something like that. He's rested, but I don't believe him for a second.
We'll see about that. We'll see about that if Jerry comes calling and says, I want to draft your boy. And then he's the next coach of the Cowboys. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, I don't know. Can he work for Jerry Jones? I don't think so.
He's the one guy that Jerry would let Dion get away with a lot, I feel like.
Maybe.
He might be the one guy. He might be the one guy that'd be like, all right,
He helped Jerry get some Super Bowls, I think. Maybe at least one.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to mention is, I mean, the committee has not made the SEC happy for one, but I think there's a good chance that this works itself out. I really do. I mean, I know it's not just like marquee games that these teams are definitely going to lose, but we've seen it's hard to win on the road in the SEC, even the middle of the road teams. So Alabama goes on the road to Oklahoma. Texas A&M goes on the road to Auburn. Texas plays Texas A&M, and Tennessee plays Vanderbilt. That's a very sneaky last game of the season. That's a sleepy guess. You don't want to slip up there. It's going to be a noon kickoff. You already know it. So there's some slippery games left in the SEC. So I think we're going to see somebody mess up. My number one pick for that, and I'll go ahead and give my upset pick. I think Alabama very well could have some trouble. I'm not going to pick them to lose, but I'm picking Auburn. Get Texas A&M out of this race once and for all. Hugh Freeze. How about that freshman wide receiver, Coleman, coming on for Auburn? They've looked good. That place is still going to be a zoo at Jordan-Hare. Still at those people have nothing better to do, I should say. So they'll watch that game. I think they win that game at home.
Yeah. No, I agree. I got a guy at work that was telling me that today, Auburn guy. Said it looks at me, just goes, just spot tickets to the game. We're getting up, so we're gonna help you guys out. I'm like, all right, I'll ride.
I don't know if it necessarily helps us out any, but
it'd be nice. It'd bring some clarity.
So I think perfect Texas A&M. What they would do, they're gonna lose to Auburn, and then they're gonna go beat Texas. at home. That's what'll happen. The ultimate chaos position, and then everyone's got 2 losses. And then what do you do?
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the scenarios are. All I know for Georgia is if Alabama loses, then Georgia's in.
Yeah, 100%.
But the winner of that Texas A&M game goes in. Texas A&M, I guess they can both take on another loss, but not to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think another one we could maybe see is Florida at home versus Ole Miss. I think that's my upset pick this week.
Don't tell Shelton you're drinking the DJ Lagway juice too.
I mean, they look good against LSU. They handled business last week.
They did.
LSU pretty much looked like they quit on the season after taking that butt whooping from Alabama. But no, they look good. So I'm going to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit this week and say they might give Ole Miss a run for their money at home. So we'll see if the DJ Lagway juice continues.
Look, I know it was 1 week, and I gave praise to Nico. He impressed me with his poise beginning of that game. I think that's a very real comparison for them too. Just like that's going to be talked about for a couple of years to come. Is that Nico DJ? It's going to be head to head. As a Georgia fan, looking on to that rivalry, I enjoy it. I think it'll be exciting to watch. Just who's going to be better there, that quarterback matchup.
I think we'll have a fun little battle for the next few years here.
For Georgia fans, I love watching the orange on orange hate. I love it. I love it. I just sit by and love it. But one other point I was going to make is Oklahoma. They've lost some real nail biter games. I've been preying on Alabama's downfall all year on this show, but I'm going to continue to do it. I don't trust Kellen DeBoer. I think Jalen Milroe is the most talented, outside of Travis Hunter, one of the most talented athletes in the country for sure. Can win a lot of games just by himself. But I still have doubts in Kellen DeBoer, and especially him winning a game on the road. LSU, we see now that they're fraudulent. They lost to Florida, of all people. So I think it's well in the realm of possibility for old Brent Venables to get the Boomer Sooner going. We'll see the wagons, all that good stuff.
Yeah, they got
Jackson Arnold running around. Who knows? A couple turnovers. That place can get wild, right?
They're going to need their defense to step up because they can't score on offense.
Yeah, who's quarterback? Jackson Arnold, I know, is quarterback these days, which I'm glad about. Hawkins, dude. He looked good against Tennessee for a hot second, but that's it.
Came to a screeching halt in that Texas game.
It did. I don't believe in Jackson Arnold, but I do believe that he can make a couple plays to make this a 20 something game. If this game's in the 20s, they got a shot.
All it takes for Alabama to screw up a couple times, and then Oklahoma's sitting right there. So it would be nice.
I keep thinking of that Vanderbilt game. That poor performance is well within Alabama's grasp. They're look, Tennessee, they looked very bad in that first half. Milroe looked bad for large portions of that game. So I hope we see that portion again. We don't even got to think about Alabama, even though I would love to see them again at some point this season.
Yeah, I'm hoping you guys end up just playing them in the SEC championship game, to be honest with you.
So let's talk about that. I mean,
it's kind of weird.
Lane Kiffin talked about, he's like, you don't even want to play in the SEC championship. And I agree with him. Why would you want to? This committee is just looking for a chance to screw you. I'm fully bought into the they hate Georgia analysis. I think that they don't like that Georgia blows teams out in primetime games. Clemson, think of them, Chick-fil-A kickoff, national championship, TCU. I think they're getting payback for that. I really do. So I don't want Georgia to play in that game if it's going to cost them a spot.
No, yeah, if you get that third loss, they're gonna boot you out pretty quick. So I mean,
I heard one thing about, Greg Sankey, he's not going to allow, like if Alabama plays Texas, Alabama loses, he's not going to allow them to be out and Georgia, Ole Miss, and that he's just not going to allow that, I don't think. But I don't know. I don't know how much pull he has anymore.
Yeah, kind of. The committee's got a mind of their own at this point.
So, yeah, I don't want to be in it. That's for sure. So I gave out my upset. You have another upset in these SEC games?
I'm taking Florida. I'm going Florida. That's
Yeah,
my
you got
upset.
DJ Lagway, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Um,
Florida. Don't
any
feel
other
great. I don't love the line, 13.5, but kind of worries me a little bit. But we'll see. We'll let it ride.
13 and a half there, 13 and a half in Ohio, 13 and a half in Oklahoma. A lot of 13 and a half questionable lines. Guess what? Also was 13 and a half. Georgia Tech in Miami.
Yeah.
So it's a rat line. Look, it's a rat line. Funny things can happen. We're gonna be circling the wagons in Norman. I can just see it. I don't know if that game's a night game. If it is, I feel good about it. I hope it is. I really
I feel
hope
like
it is.
somebody's gonna go down this weekend.
Someone's gonna go down. There's way too many landmines out there right now.
Yeah,
Um, let's see what time that game is. If it's it's at 7:30 ABC. Come on.
Oklahoma.
The night schedule's loaded. We got Alabama, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Auburn. I think we're gonna get upsets that whole night. And then Vanderbilt, LSU. That's gonna be must-watch TV in Tiger Stadium. Diego Pavia is gonna make some magic happen.
Yeah, Diego Pavi is gonna put Brian Kelly's job 6 feet under.
If they win that game, if they win that game, I don't think he's on the hot seat. But if you were to lose 4 games in a row,
He might be on.
be,
He might be on the hot seat.
he might be feeding him. They might be feeding him to that Tiger that's on the sideline.
Ed Orgeron was on the hot seat a year removed from winning a national championship in the best season ever. One of the best seasons ever.
Well, look at Mike Norvell. They were undefeated last year. They got 1 win. They're abysmal. So life comes at you fast. College football.
It doesn't take much.
No.
Results-based industry.
I suggest that LSU doesn't put a live Tiger on the sideline with Diego Pavia out there. You don't need to entice the guy.
No.
I mean, that didn't work out with Bama. I wouldn't do that again.
No, I wouldn't touch that one again. That was a Butch Jones move by Brian Kelly.
Yeah, it was a Butch League move.
I'm pretty sure Butch Jones is from that Brian Kelly coaching tree too. So it makes all too much sense.
Butch Jones, he just looked like an idiot with those headsets on, dude. It just looked so big on him.
Face all red. Yeah, he was something else.
Turned down for what? Was that those days? That was Jeremy Pruitt.
No, that was Butch.
That was Butch Jones.
Third down for what?
Yep.
Yeah, Butch had his opportunity.
He did.
That team in 2016 was loaded.
They had Georgia at home.
Beat them. Took a Hail Mary.
No, I'm saying they had Georgia at home 1 year when they were ranked. Is that 2016? No, 2016 was Juwan Jennings. I'm thinking maybe 2015. It was like 41-0. 2017 maybe.
No, yeah, that was 2017. That was the year he was done. No, 2016 was the year we were supposed to be really good. We had out Kamara.
Y'all were good. You just play in the SEC, lost games.
Well, we lost games we shouldn't have lost. That was part of the issue.
Who'd they lose to that year?
Well, I mean, I say shouldn't have lost. We lost to Alabama. Lost to A&M in overtime, and then to end the year, lost to Vandy, which was the icing on the cake.
Can't have that happen this year.
No, can't have that happen this year. That would not be good for old Josh Heupel if that were to happen.
You want Vandy to win this game. Have them on a high.
Yeah, I'd take that. Let them get their last good win of the season out.
Exactly.
And call it a year.
Exactly. You don't want them fighting and clawing for one more good win. You don't want that guy doing that.
No,
I'm glad Georgia doesn't play him this year. Look, that guy has some moxie. I don't want to mess with him.
He's got another year left in him.
Look, even Colorado, look, they don't have a defense. They can never beat Georgia, but that quarterback, he scares me. They could score some points on Georgia, that's for sure. I believe that. But they wouldn't be able to stop nobody.
They got the Heisman winner on that offense and that defense.
Dude, Colorado is a sneaky team. Like, get them in the playoff. Travis Hunter makes a couple circus plays. Who knows? You know who that would be the funniest if Colorado beats is Penn State. That would be the best. I could see him doing the Deion Sanders dance down the State Penn sideline.
Pick six on a pick six, a good old fashioned Drew Aller pick six.
100%.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. Their draw would be because they'd be the Big 12 champion. I mean,
But there's a
yeah,
chance that they're not the top four, because they rank the four highest champions. So that could be the group of five champion. That's what they put on this is, Boise State's the 4 seed. They didn't even have the Big 12 in there, but I think that's what'll happen. If Boise State wins out, they're going to get the 4, and Oklahoma is going to get like 11, and they would go somewhere like that.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this plays out. This is going to be a good weekend. Got a good weekend of football coming up.
Slept on. I don't hear a lot of noise about it. I think it's going to be a great weekend.
It should be entertaining. I think everybody's like, not really. There's not like a ton of big ranked matchups outside of like Ohio State and Indiana. But like, if you think about the upset possibilities and like the repercussions of losing for a lot of these teams, it's actually a huge weekend. A lot of teams can't afford a loss this weekend. So there's a lot of desperation. These are honestly playoff games, and at least in the SEC side for Ole Miss, Tennessee. I mean, Tennessee plays like UTSA, so I'm not really worried about that. But
they got Vandy in a couple weeks. In Colorado, we were just mentioning them. They play Kansas this week. Kansas has been knocking everybody off. They just knocked off. I had a teaser with BYU and Kansas this week. I should have listened to you, JT. I went with BYU, but Kansas has been a rolling ball of chainsaws last couple of weeks, dude. They've been nasty. They got some DBs that can match up out wide. So that game's at home. Kansas is going to be popping, dude. I think Colorado could go down. They could still go down.
I was looking at that game. Jalen Daniels. He's a baller. I think he was hurt for a lot of the season, which is why I think they struggled there for a little bit. But he's a baller.
I watched so him and Carson Beck have a similar arc this year. They both did not start off the season very well. I watched him play UNLV, JT. He had about 4 picks in the first half. It was ugly. Jalen Daniels. But he's looked good. Turnover-free football last week, I think. I'm pretty sure. But he's been playing a lot better. So I think that's a double overtime game of the week. That game might be craziness.
And 3.5 point spread. They're 3.5 point dogs. Kansas.
That game's going to be double overtime. Book it.
So it's like right in the wheelhouse of wow. This could become a little dicey for Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, because they got to. Yeah, I mean Travis Hunter. I haven't really watched any Colorado games this year. I think I've watched more college football this season than maybe any other season, but I haven't watched any Colorado. So I need to check them out.
I watched for a little bit last week. I was sitting at some bar and watched the beginning of the game, and Shedeur throws a pick on the first play of the game.
I saw that.
And then I was sitting there right before the game. I'm like, Colorado minus 13.5. Kind of like it, kind of don't. Didn't take it. Wish I did.
Yeah.
I really wish I did. They handled that pretty easily.
Yeah, but I mean it's up. I feel like they've labeled upset week a couple times this season, but this is real. This is real deal with shit on the line. Upset week.
Yeah,
so with that, let's do our locks, JT, and let's get out of here. So my lock, I'm staying in the SEC as I do for all my picks. I just stay in the SEC because I watch the most SEC games. I feel like I just have a better idea of it. But I'm attacking Kentucky this week. I'm attacking Brock Vandergrift. Sorry, man. Friendly fire, I know, but you're going to get dog walk this week by Texas. They're not going to be looking ahead. I mean, they are going to be looking ahead, but it's Kentucky. I mean, they're going to dog walk them. I expect a first half similar to that Florida. I mean, they don't have a quarterback. Brock Vandergrift cannot consistently throw the football down the field. Kentucky's going to be able to score at will, I think. So, yeah, I got them. If you can get it, it's at 21 right now, 20.5, something like that. That'd be peachy, but see what you can do. Oh, yeah, so this is brought to you. Shelton will put it a little ad in here, but brought to you by BetUS. JT, what is your lock?
My lock, I'm going back to my bread and butter this year. I believe I'm 2-0 on these when I pick them. Penn State unders. Penn State, Minnesota under 45.5. I think Minnesota's gonna be alive in this game, and I think that for that to happen, they got to keep this low scoring. So PJ Fleck and the boys are going to row the boat, and they're going to keep this game close. They're going to make it ugly. Rock fight. Looking at a rock fight. Maybe I'm hoping like a 20-13 type of game, 23-13, something like that.
Penn State's opponents, that's about where they're at every week, with exception of Ohio State. It's just they're a baffling team. They really are. But I like the bet. They usually, like I said, they're going to step on these teams with terrible offenses. Minnesota's been pretty good this year.
They're usually scrappy.
They have been. You
Not
know,
as
one
good-
thing.
They're not as good as they've been previous years. They've been a little bit better in previous years, but
One thing, just to recap our bets, I got Auburn in my upset. Also look at Kansas. That's a sneaky upset. JT's got what's your upset?
Florida.
Florida beating Ole Miss. My lock is Texas. His lock
Penn State under.
is Penn State under.
45.5. Good number.
But before we get out of here, I feel like we need to mention South Carolina. They may be the hottest team in football. I don't think we mentioned them at all. But people were talking about them having an outside shot at making the playoff if they won out.
Nah.
Let's get real, folks. Let's start thinning the crowd here. That's nonsensical. They've looked good. Lenore Sellers might be good next year. Who knows? Their defensive line is good. But let's calm all those talks down. I don't think they play anybody else the rest of the year.
No, they're on the outside looking in.
But I wanted to give them their flowers there. That was a impressive gut. I mean, it wasn't that impressive. It was a good game to watch. They should have beat Missouri by more. Missouri's pathetic. How is Missouri ranked number 23 after losing? They were at 23, lost, or at 23. Doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that was a good game to watch. So hats off to them.
Yeah, I was really hoping that clown of a coach, Eli Drinkwitz, would get the brakes blown off of him. But that playoff hope came crashing down pretty quickly after that comment. So glad he can stand on business. Glad Eli stands on business. Good for him.
JT, you got to want guys like that to continue there. We want Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. This is what I talked about with Billy Napier. We want Billy at Florida. We want Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri. We need these guys there for Georgia and Tennessee's success. That's one less person to worry about.
That's
so
fair.
Drink can stay in the drink as long as he likes. But yeah, he's pathetic. He's a clown show. He really is.
He is, dude. God,
Let's hit some bets this week. I've been a little cold on my locks, but we'll get it right this week. I'm finishing out some action. A pathetic, ugly game of Ohio and Toledo right now. But that's how it goes. Any last thoughts, JT?
No, let's hope for some chaos this weekend. Let's pray a couple of these teams go down.
Let's see it. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Give us your upset pick out of these SEC games. Who do you think's going to win? We'll see you next week. Have a good weekend. Go Dogs.
Go Vols.